Welcome to Leads and Leverage, Real Estate Team Leader Lounge, where success in real estate meets passion-driven leadership. I'm your host, Tyler Gibson. I'm an entrepreneur, real estate team leader, and investor, and I'm thrilled to have you join us in the ultimate hub for real estate excellence. In this exclusive lounge, we're diving deep into strategies, tactics, and stories that fuel the success of real estate teams. Whether you're a seasoned pro looking to take your leadership skills to new heights or an aspiring entrepreneur ready to build your own powerhouse team, this podcast is your go-to resource for insider insights and actionable advice. Get ready to hear from top experts, industry pioneers, and real-world achievers who are making waves in the real estate world. We'll explore the best practices, share invaluable lessons learned, and equip you with tools you need to thrive in today's competitive market. Welcome to the lounge where leaders are made and success is earned. Come on in to the Real Estate Team Leader Lounge. Hello and welcome to another episode of the Leads and Leverage podcast. I'm really excited to have Rick Brown with me here today. Rick, thanks for being here.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Well, Rick, you and I are here in the same market in Orlando and Central Florida, and I know that you lead a team here that's in the top 1% for production here in the Central Florida area. So I'm really excited to hear about your real estate journey, the development of the team, and kind of what your business looks like today. So tell us, how long have you been in the industry and kind of what's been the evolution of your business?
Yeah. Well, again, thanks for having me, Tyler. I appreciate it. So I started in the business going on 10 years. So April will be my 10th anniversary. And I got into the business by watching Millionaire Listings. Okay. So became a really big Ryan Serhant fan and the Josh Altman, those guys. And I saw the checks coming across the screen, and I was like, man. And my girlfriend, who's now my wife and partner, she's like, you could do that. And we talked about Jenny. So one of her very good friends is Jenny Weimert. And I reached out to her and I said, my girlfriend said she lived in your neighborhood and I hear you're a top mega agent. I'd love to talk to you about joining your team after I get my license. And so I sat with her and she took almost 2 hours to spend time with me and tell me about the business and this and that. And I got so excited and thought, I'll go get my license and I'll come back. And she said, we'll have you join. Well, it took me a while. I mean, it doesn't define you, but I didn't pass the test on the first try. I didn't pass it on the second either, or the third. Fourth time was the charm, but just not a test taker. Finally, I got my license, went back to Jenny, and Jenny goes, oh, you know what? I really like you to take a DISC profile. So if you're familiar with the DISC profile, which most of us are, that personality test, once the result came back, I was like 99% D. And she said, we'd love to have you, but you really want to be me. You don't want to be on a team. You want to be a team. So I kind of got lost. I got my license thinking I was joining a team and became a single agent. And did that for about 4 months after getting my license. And previous to real estate, I was in the Fortune 500 business. So worked for a large logistics company, traveled all over the world, saw more countries than you probably want to. And I could probably tell you the ones that I didn't go to more than I did. But ultimately, I just got burnt out and needed a change. So when I finished my test and got my license and I set myself up with Keller Williams, I was like, what am I going to do? And so when it came to leads and lead generation, I'm like, I'd done retail. I had done door to door. So I thought I'll do door to door knocking because I can do that. And I did retail, but what's retail? So I started doing open houses and, really felt like that was my niche. And with the open houses, I had people coming in and I was able to talk to them and nobody had told me not to sell the house. So that was what I was trying to do, right? Every time somebody come in, I'm like, it's not a lead in my eyes. If you're in my open house, I'm going to sell you the house, right?
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, did it for about 4 months, and in 4 months, I did anywhere from 7 to 8 closings, and they were open houses. An agent who actually is another top mega agent um, approached me and said, "Hey, have you ever thought about a team?" And I'm like, "No," but I had, right? Because I had thought about Jenny's. And he goes, "Yeah, I'd love to have a conversation with you." And I said, "Oh, okay." And funny story was, I was doing an open house, and this agent asked me to do the open house because he had heard how successful I was with doing open houses. And ultimately, I did the open house. He said, I haven't been able to get anybody to bring me a buyer on this. And I said, well, I think I got you a buyer. And he goes, well, why don't you meet me at the house, and I'll meet you there. And I was sitting in my car, and he texted me and he said, hey, why haven't you texted me yet? And I'm like, huh? And I looked, and he came out of his house. He lived next door to the house, but he didn't tell me that. He watched me like put my signs out. He watched me put my flag out. He watched me, the traffic that we had. And obviously it was kind of like a test,
Mm-hmm.
but I passed. I joined his team. I was on his team for almost 3 years. So 2015 to 2018. And then in 2018, and I know we'll probably talk about leverage. I always say there's a value that once the value lid closes, it's time to move on. And even though this is my mentor, this is my person that has really shown me the ropes and given me the tools, it was time to go. And he knew it. I knew it. We still are the best of friends. He's still a very big mentor and a very big part of my life. And he wants nothing but the best for me to be successful. But I started my team in 2018 with my daughter and myself. She was my assistant and my transaction coordinator and my marketing specialist and everything. Um, and then I brought on a buyer agent right away because that's what I was told you should do.
Mm-hmm.
And ultimately went from 1 to almost 20 in about 2 years. I did that, but over time. So in the first year, I think I had 3 or 4, and then we just slowly grew from there. One of the agents that joined me in 2018 has left and actually come back. And we'll probably talk more about that. But currently, we are a team of 14 agents. And we are recruiting. We are looking for talent, not looking for bodies. And I happen to have expansion. So at Keller Williams, they do offer expansion model where I have an office in Claremont, and then we've expanded into Daytona. And so right now we're just kind of building out the Daytona office. I have only one agent right now in Claremont, but obviously trying to slowly grow that market. And then the remaining 12 agents are in Orlando, out of the Waterford Lake area. I have an amazing director of operations. She was recently promoted. And then I too have some virtual assistants. And then, as I mentioned before, my girlfriend is now my wife. She's also my business partner, my CFO. She pretty much tells me what I can and can't spend. And so I'm just having a lot of fun. We sell a lot of real estate. I think there's enough for everybody.
Mm-hmm.
And if I can, with your audience, help agents kind of GPS through this whole process of being in real estate, then this will be a great conversation.
Yeah. So I love that. A few things that I kind of want to unpack. So
Sure.
you mentioned that you brought on a buyer's agent because that's what you were told to do. Is sometimes when people say that, there's this thought behind it that maybe that wasn't the best thing for me to do at the time, but that's what I did because that's what people said I should do. Is that how you feel? Or if you were to go back, what would you do differently if you could start the team over again?
Yeah, I don't know if I would do anything differently. I mean, I had a lot of leads. You know, I invested in the realtor.coms and the Zillows, and I had a pretty robust database at that point, you know, being 3+ years with a mentor, and I had built my own database. And to be truthfully, that's why I ended up leaving, because when your numbers outweigh what the team is offering, that's when that value lid closes. And I don't remember the exact numbers, but you know, when 3/4 of the leads that were coming were from my own open houses, my own lead generating, and not to say that the team wasn't providing leads, but there weren't enough there when you're giving up splits. And it's not a dirty word to talk about,
Right.
but we do have to consider that. It is time, and even agents on my team have left, and I've been, you know, understanding of that, because there's only so much that you can have, as they say, so much meat on the bone. Right. And I understand that. And I don't want to hold anyone back, but I guess for me, I had a bunch of leads and I couldn't keep up, and I was losing opportunity. So I, you know, started the team, and I will say maybe 6 months. I was trying to go to family reunion. I was trying to go to mega camp, and I couldn't go because I had leads. And I happened to see an agent in my office, and he was there every day, and just, I don't know what he was doing, but he was just there. And his name's David Hickey. And he's my first agent ever that joined my team. And he had told me that, you know, I was actually on the phone with trying to get my old job back because real estate just wasn't cutting it. And you approached me because you were going to mega camp and threw me some leads. And he converted them right away. He got them under contract. I mean, before I even got back from mega camp, he had 2 already under contract, and 1 was closing on cash. I mean, this kid was he was on fire. I just felt like he needed some direction. And so we hit it off. And, you know, 2018 of October, started the team in January. He joined me officially, and has been with me the entire time. However, in 2022, he decided he wanted to leave and start his own team. And I gave him, you know, the walking papers, as you say, and said, I wish you nothing but the best. And we stayed friends. And April of 2024, he decided that him and another guy who also is one of my top agents, they decided they would go start the team in 22, and they came back in April of last year. And they said, look, we're not looking, just having a team is not our thing. And it's not for everyone. Right. And so they came back in 2024, and ultimately are back to stay. And our leaders on my team, we'll talk about some leverage that I've created, that I'm excited about. We haven't even announced it yet, but we're going to announce it actually Monday, for a mentorship program that we're offering.
That's incredible.
But yeah, so to say I would do anything different, because I started with 1 agent, and then by that end of the year, we had 4 in the first year.
Awesome.
I think they say, Tyler, and maybe you know this, as leverage, that for every so many transactions you're doing, it's time to first you get your assistant, right? You get your transaction coordinator, and then you get a buyer agent. My daughter was my transaction coordinator, but I didn't have a buyer's agent. And Lindsay, even though she was amazing, it was like I couldn't keep up with the potential opportunities. So that's kind of why I did what I did. And I probably wouldn't change it. I probably would have done the same thing. Yeah.
That's great. You mentioned being a team leader isn't for everybody. Who isn't it for, in your opinion?
Well, so that disc profile, I disc everybody now that joins my team. it's not a pass or a fail, but it is based on your personality. And I guess what I mean by being a team leader, because even though David's amazing now and took off and tried to, become a team, and he did well, he just wasn't passionate about it. It wasn't something like he loves to teach, he loves to lead, and does a fantastic job. He just doesn't want the ownership. He doesn't want to deal with the financing portion. He doesn't want to have to deal with the expenses, right? He just loves real estate and is passionate about it. Same with Blaine Weicker, who again is one of the agents. He started me in 2019. Both these gentlemen have been rookie of the years for me at Keller Williams because of their passion, because of their commitment to the craft of being in real estate. But again, you go off, you try to be a team leader, you try to be an owner, and sometimes there's two modules to being an owner and being a team leader. You still have to do real estate, right? I think there's still, well, when you're in the business in the beginning. Now people are like, and Jenny Weimert's one. She doesn't do a lot of real estate, right? She probably has her database, but ultimately she has a team to do that. Eventually I'll probably get there, but I'm still having fun. I'm still loving taking care of real estate. And David and Blaine, ultimately said, we like this portion of the whole team aspect, but not so much this. And so I would say that, personality is a big thing. I think you have to be an entrepreneur, not to say you can't grow into one, because when David joined me, he was very low D and very high I and S. And I is influential, very social butterfly. S is structured. And then D obviously is driven and more entrepreneur. Now, if I disc profiled him, he'd be definitely a high D. And so it's something that can be taught. It can be, learned. And being on a team, you may come in as I just want to be on a team. I just need that structure. I need that organization. And then eventually you get it, you figure it out. And now you want to go be a team, which is what David and Blaine did. They were my top lead agents. And then they said, hey, you know what? I think we want to give it a go. And like I said, I welcomed it. It was disappointing, right? It's almost like you instill all these skills, all these tools, and then they leave you.
Yeah.
But I know that's part of a team.
Yeah.
And, maybe I just did it too well, right? But, once they learn the stuff that they don't see, which is the ownership part, which I try to keep, away from the team. I don't want them to worry or be burdened by expenses and what we spend as a ownership, my wife, Jean, and I. That's on us, right? That's why I do stay heavily involved in the structure of the team, the organization. I don't give that responsibility up to anyone because, as they say, I'll fall on the sword.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
No, I love that. So let's talk about leads. You mentioned that you've used Realtor.com and Zillow. Are these still lead sources that you continue to invest in today, or does it look a little bit different in today's market?
No, not plugging Realtor.com, but yeah, Realtor.com has been our number one source. We do invest a lot in Realtor.com. And again, going back to being an owner of a team, maybe a cliche, but I got to feed these animals, right? I got to feed them leads. I know that as a team, when people join a team, that's something they're looking for. Yes, they're looking for mentorship. We are trying to increase that level on our team. That leads isn't everything. It's definitely something. But the mentor part is something that we're going to double down on Brown Home Group. And I'm excited about that. But yes, the Realtor.com is probably our biggest source. We are doing the Zillow, Homes.com. We started really diving into Google PPC. And I actually hired a Google expert because of the analytics and all of that. I just didn't know what I was doing. And sometimes you leverage help, right? Just like if you join a team, you're doing that because you're needing help. You're needing a faster track. And for Google, I couldn't even begin to tell you the keywords and everything and how that looks. So we've seen quite a bit of an uptick on the Google PPC, which is pay to click, um, which is good because you pay a monthly, but if you don't get any clicks, it doesn't go against you. You only pay for what clicks come through, and that to me is, obviously I'm willing to pay to play.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, that's great.
But
So,
I would say lead generating for us is open houses is number one.
okay.
Um, and our database. We dive hard into our database. Um, over the last 10 years, obviously, I've picked up a huge database.
Right.
And it's something that when new agents join our team, we have something called a pond. And it's just leads that have come through, whether it be realtor.com, Zillow, or anything else. And at one time or another, they were looking and either we didn't capture them or something happened, something fell through the cracks, which it does. So it's our follow-up system in new agents, how they learn script and role play, things like that. We use the pond to do that. Every agent that joins us, comes in with a certain number of leads already provided to them to work. And as they fall through, they are given additional. So they can constantly keep achieving, building their own database. A lot of new agents don't have a database when they come on board. We try to get them to at least 300, what we call 300 METs, as quickly as possible. And you can do that through all other lead sources, right? It doesn't have to be just leads that I'm giving you, but you're going to do some work too, right? As you've probably heard the whole cliche of, I'm going to teach you to fish before I hand you the fish.
Yeah. No,
So,
absolutely. I love that. Right.
right.
If somebody hasn't put in the reps to try to learn how to do something, why would you give them something to go do right away? Right.
Mm-hmm.
Because you're going to hand it to them. They're going to go, what do I do with it? Right.
Right. Yeah.
So I love that concept. You
Yeah.
mentioned early on that you were comfortable door knocking and that you were doing open houses, and those two go really well together, right?
Absolutely.
Because
Yep.
as you're preparing for the open house, if you want to get maximum exposure and get more opportunities in that neighborhood,
Mm-hmm.
you go knock on all the neighbors' doors and you say, "Hey, did you see your neighbors selling? I'm doing an open house. Want to come peek inside?" Right?
100%. Yeah. I feel like um, we may need to do a better job of the door knocking. We plan to put, the 20 plus signs out. And by the time you've done the signs, you're frustrated. It's not the best, right? It's not fun. That's probably the worst part of doing an open house is the sign.
Right.
But doing the door knocking after you're already sweating from all that, especially if you're a female and doing it in heels, that ain't fun.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel like at least hit the neighborhood, maybe even with the garage doors open where the people are out having, the lawns being done, and you just stop by. And like you said, I mean, it's more just, hey, let me invite you to the open house. You don't even talk about real estate as much as you talk about the neighborhood. We do something where every neighborhood, you have to put a sign out. We'll put the sign in somebody's yard for a conversation. Like we'll knock on the door and say, "Hey, I just want to let you know I'm doing an open house. Is it okay if I put a sign here, and I'll get it picked up by 4 o'clock or 3 o'clock, whatever the time of the open house?" And they go, "Oh, so where are you doing the open house?" That's when the conversation starts, right? Obviously, my biggest thing is I don't want my sign getting thrown away.
Right.
So I'm going to ask, it's okay if I put it here, because if you're doing your lawn, the first thing you're taking is my sign and throwing it in the trash. And we know that ain't cheap. So I will usually, it's limited, but door knocking and open houses, I agree, go hand in hand.
Yeah. I've never thought of that. What a great tip. That if you want to put a sign in somebody's yard to direct them to the open house,
Right.
knock on the door and ask for permission, or let them know, "Hey, I'm doing an open house on the road. Is it all right if I put a sign here? I'll come grab it shortly." Great idea. I'd never
Well,
even
not only that,
considered
but we have those guys out there that are picking up signs,
right.
right? And you're going to put them on the sides of the roads, but in the neighborhoods, if you ask the owner, then you can put it on the inside,
Yeah.
on their yard, and these trucks can't go in and pick up those signs. But yeah, it's about starting the conversation without bringing up real estate.
Right. Yeah, that's fantastic. So let's kind of shift gears, talk about leverage. Um, you know, people are obviously a way that you can create leverage, through
Mm-hmm.
transaction coordinators or admins and buyers agents. You mentioned virtual assistants. At what point did you decide I'm going to go hire virtual assistants, and what do they do for you in your business? How are they creating leverage for you?
Yeah, so I have two virtual assistants. I have an ISA, which is an inside sales agent, and then I have a social media manager. And we're probably going to end up bringing on an additional admin for transactions as my director of operations. She's amazing. She's been with me 6 years, Maria. Um, I've had conversations with other teams, and if they could mold Maria, she's just a powerhouse. I call her my work wife, and I get my wife and her together, and it's horrible because they beat me up.
Sure.
But Maria gets busy, and she's my assistant, my executive assistant slash DOO, and has a lot on her plate. But with our team growing and looking to grow, I know that I'll have to leverage TC work, and I want to utilize Maria for her skills. I mean, 20 plus years in the business. She's licensed. She was a broker. Like I said, I was fortunate that she came through and decided to join me, who had no idea really at that point. I was only, 2 years in to my own team to take a chance on me. But we have really built a great family organization. And I knew that she was doing all the social media stuff. And I'm like, okay, what could I take off your plate? And so initially it was the social media. And then I started thinking, well, we have all of these leads coming through. And I know the team will do their follow up, or they should, right? That's probably the one thing that as agents, we don't do enough of.
Right.
So I thought, what if I got them somebody that could convert for them? And with realtor.com, as you may or may not know, it's speed to lead.
Mm-hmm.
So my ISA is actually pretty much competing with the agent. So when the lead comes in, they have 27 seconds to respond. But if Rachel can respond in 25, she can convert it and she can pass it over to the agent. It's a win-win, right? And with Kimberly is our newest member on the virtual side. She takes an idea. I have crazy ideas in my head. She takes these ideas and puts them down on paper. And I'm like, whoa, I would have never even imagined that. And it's absolutely thrilling that she's taking our brand to another level. As we've spoke, I too am starting to dive into the podcast world. And I was trying to put together, like, what do I call my podcast? Because I don't want it to be just about real estate.
Mm-hmm.
I want to be able to open it up to other avenues. And as I thought about it, our motto or our slogan or logo is a gold key, and be with the key is kind of what we go by. And I thought, key, the be with the key. And then I thought, what if we talked beyond the key? So that's how we came up with the podcast. And then Kim took that and just went over the top. And so the podcast is Beyond the Key, and we go above and beyond other opportunities, or as I say, unlock opportunities. So it kind of opens up dialogue. But Kim she does all our flyer, all our posts. She's getting so busy that she might need to get some help. So I always look to see if Maria is overwhelmed, then it's time to bring somebody on. So leveraging overseas is unbelievable, and you get some fantastic help that is very affordable in the aspects of. I'd love to bring somebody in house, right? But sometimes that's just not possible.
Yeah.
And having a brick and mortar facility, Keller Williams provides us some great space. But if I was to bring another individual in here, I might struggle, with having another individual. But the VA stuff has been great. I mean, we do stuff like this, and it's no different than her sitting in my office.
Yep.
I can have a conversation and say, all right, Kim, so this is my idea. This is what I want to do. Go take it and run with it.
Yeah. I love that. So where are you how are you sourcing these virtual assistants to come work for you and in your business?
Yeah. So again, you probably get it too. There are all those cyber backer companies out there. And one reached out to me one day, and he's been amazing. I interviewed, the people that were potentially had those skills. And for me, it was, this one made a good fit. And that's probably, I'll continue to use him.
Gotcha.
He's been extremely attentive. If I have an issue, if there's something that I need, or, if there's a problem, he's right there to step in. So, yeah, I mean, VA stuff was new to me. And now I have a better understanding, and more than likely my next VA will be a TC, to help Maria just handle transactions, because for me, she's way knowledgeable than just cutting transactions. I'm not going to say to be a TC isn't dumb work. I'm just saying that I'd rather use her for other things because she understands the skill of the real estate.
Well, and she's in person, right?
Correct. Yeah, she's right in the other side of this door. So we share an office. I have a little space, and then I yell at her, not yell at her, but I yell over to her when I need something. I won't yell at her. She'll kick my butt.
It's oh, hey, not hey.
Yeah. No, never that. No. And the team will tell you that she pretty much runs the team. She's the mother of the team. I'm just the face, but I'm not even the face, because that was the one thing, Tyler, that I always made sure that when you join a team, I never want you to feel like you lose your identity. So I'm very big about, yes, we lead with Brown Home Group and the B with the key, the luxury logo and all that, but it's your name in front. It's your picture. It's your headshot. You get your own website on our team. I'm not using just one website. I want you to have some individuality.
Yeah.
But we do have a brand, and being on a team, that's what it is. We want people to remember the brand of us.
Yeah.
But we're a big family, and that's one thing I've always prided myself on is if you join Brown Home Group, you're still going to have your identity. You're still going to have your individuality.
Yeah, I love that. So because a lot of people listening to this may not have any kind of concept of what it costs to have an admin versus what it costs to have a virtual assistant. You don't have to tell us exact salaries, but give folks an idea of how leveraged virtual assistants can be, like how much they can actually help you compared to what it costs to hire that person versus hiring an admin that's going to sit in your office with you.
Well, I mean, if realtors are listening to this show right now, I mean, they understand that our time is worth $1, right? What is that dollar to you is different from somebody else. And so if I'm going out on an appointment and I'm not lead generating, obviously I need somebody to do it for me. If I go out on a listing appointment for $1 million listing and I'm able to secure that listing, we're going to get paid on it. And that's, to me, more important for me to be doing. So then I have somebody behind the scenes making those calls for those appointments.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know, for me, that leverage is you can't put a price on that.
Right.
And some realtors out there just don't want to do it. It's just not our forte. I'm a high D. The last thing I want to be doing is sitting at a desk making phone calls, right? One call after another. I'll call my existing database, my VIPs, but just to call leads to expireds, oh, that, poke my eye out with a fork. I don't want to do it. But will I go on the appointment and do my best to have that particular seller who's unfortunately maybe had a bad situation turn it around? Yeah, that I can do.
Yeah.
But making those calls, so to me, I don't even, and to answer your question, I really don't know what the difference pricing versus what I'm spending, what I'm saving is
Right.
time. And to me, time is I don't even put a price on that.
Yeah. Well, I think a lot of people might think, well, I can't afford to hire a social media manager or a transaction coordinator or a virtual assistant. Um, you know, but I think it's mostly because they don't have any concept of what it would cost to hire a virtual assistant, right? They just,
Yeah.
because we're so used to, our own, the wage, what wages are here in the United States and what you would have to pay somebody for an hour of their time here versus somebody that is overseas. And so I think helping people understand that no, you can really go out and get some top tier talent for $5, $6, $7, $8 an hour,
Mhm.
that can do the job as good as anybody else you could find here in the U.S. They're just willing to take less because they live in an area where the cost of living is much cheaper than what it is
Yeah.
here.
Yeah. I mean, could you hire a part-time mom that, could easily do this? Yeah. But over here in the States versus, the Philippines, it's almost 3 times less.
Yeah.
And can they do similar? Yes. Are they local? No. Can that sometimes be a pushback? Yeah, because I know I get the phone calls all the time. And, the language barrier tends to be a little difficult.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes it's difficult for us. But my two they speak very good English.
Yeah.
That was one of my concerns. And I wanted to make sure that, when they're making those calls, as Rachel does, she speaks perfect English.
Yeah.
I think the biggest thing is understanding, and you live here. So when you say the word Oviedo, it looks like Ovidio, right? And
Yeah.
then Kissimmee looks like Kissimmee,
Kissing me. Yeah.
right? So those are some of the words that I had to work with her, because if she's calling an expired to get me an appointment and she's saying, "Oh, so I see you live in Ovidio," that tells the other person, you don't live here,
Yep.
so you don't know. But because we're here, I want them to also have that same understanding.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of really crazy names that when you look at them, you think you know how to say them, but you don't.
Yeah. And so I'm curious, when you hired that ISA, had they already had training to do that job function, or did you have to spend a lot of time teaching them scripts and okay, so
No, I had to teach them.
So,
I just had to teach them my way of doing things, right?
right,
Um, we have a CRM. Our CRM may be different than
right. You
so,
were teaching
but
them
she
a
knew.
process and a tool, not necessarily a skill.
No, and all of our conversations for note-taking purposes are recorded, so her and I can go back and review um, for training, right? And
Right.
I can listen and say, "Hey, this is something I would have done differently," or "This is something." So we're always improving. But overall, she's a converting machine.
Wow.
She converts for us as a team. Live transfers calls, which is amazing, where we get somebody on the line and they're ready to talk to a real estate agent, and she transfers them over to our team. and we convert at a high level because of that. So,
Incredible.
yeah. And you talk about like the cost and what that looks like. It's very possible that, with our team and our growth, I'll be bringing on another one, and I'll double it because, again, I got to feed these animals. I call them animals, but
Yeah.
they're my kids.
Yeah.
Even though one of them's 62, I have all ages on my team, but they're important to me, and I know being on a team, I have to keep that value open, that lid.
Yeah. Yeah. I heard someone once say that if you want people to join you, your vision has to be big enough that theirs fits inside of it.
Hmm. I would agree with that. Yeah.
And
I mean,
so,
I feel like I don't know. I beat myself up sometimes about that whole vision and our mission. What my mission is it in line with the agents? Um, but ultimately, I want this team to be a family, and we either win together or we lose together. I have a team leader in this office that he constantly says the Rick Brown team, and he knows that puts hair on the back of my neck. I can't stand when my name is and I'll be honest with you, Tyler, if I could go back and do it all over again, I would have taken the word Brown out of the name of the team.
uh-huh.
I would be like the excellent home group
Yeah.
or something. I didn't know. I only learned. Ooh, what happened there? Did we lose my camera?
Yeah. It lost you. It's back.
Oh, weird. It flipped around.
Yeah.
That was weird.
It did. It did a
Um,
backflip.
okay. So my back, I can't see because I only have
Yeah.
you on speaker.
Yep.
Okay. So yeah, so for me, I feel like as long as I'm always thinking about them, it's a win for me.
Yeah. Well, I love
I mean,
that.
we do a lot of things on our team. I just took um, 7 of my top agents on a cruise as a production goal,
Yeah.
and them and their spouses, and we just had a great time. We do that, yearly as a way to say thank you,
Yeah.
for your achievements. We do all kinds of lunches and dinners. I do a celebratory lunch once a month. If you have a closing, let me take you out to lunch and say thank you. Right? I always appreciate that. I know that they're giving up a split, um, some higher than others, and the team knows it. And at the end of the day, it's got to be a win-win for
Yeah.
both.
I love that. Well, Rick, we've been at this for, wow, it doesn't feel like it, but about 45 minutes. So I want to be respectful of your time.
Appreciate
Thank
it.
you so much for being here with us today. If somebody's listening to this and they want to learn more about your team, how they might be able to become a member of it, or
Yeah.
maybe they need your services here in Central Florida, what's the best way for them to get a hold of you?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And let me just say, Tyler, thanks for having me. I appreciate it. This is awesome. Great platform. And I know we'll run into each other. As I always say, there's enough real estate for all of us. And
That's right.
if you have a listing and you see me come through, or any one of my team members, I'd love to do a deal with you. But they can get a hold of us at brownhomegroup.com. They can call our office at 321-348-8720. On our website, if they're interested and just want to have a conversation about what our team is and becoming a Gold Key member, they can go on our website, and it's a really quick schedule a meeting with me. What I meant to say, and I know we run out of time, but one of my biggest things that we're about to announce is I have 5 super mentors. So anybody who joins my team normally is looking for a mentor. Well, with my team, you're going to get 5. I look at them as having 5 different strengths. They have skills, but one doesn't have all the same skill. I mean, some have a couple. So what we've done is we've created a mentorship superhero program where when you join my team, you not get one, but you get 5 different mentors. They all have skills that are better and can help. And you don't have to be limited to just one mentor.
Yeah.
And it's been pretty cool putting it together, and we're going to be rolling that out. And then the only other thing I would say is, yeah, I would love for people to share, like, and follow our podcast as well. That we just did our first episode that's going to be rolling out today, actually. Yeah, check it out at Beyond the Key. And again, thanks, Tyler. I appreciate you having me.
Absolutely. I'll check out Beyond the Key. And thank you again for being here. And
maybe I can have you on my show.
Yeah, let's do it. I'd love to. So
fantastic. Find out more about you since I talk so much.
Yeah, no worries. Well, thank you everyone for tuning in to this episode of Leads and Leverage. We'll catch you next time. Bye. And that's a wrap for today's episode of Leads and Leverage. I hope you found our conversation insightful and actionable. Remember, success in real estate is not just about transactions. It's about the relationships you build, the teams you lead, and the impact you make in the lives of others. If you enjoyed today's episode and want to stay connected with our community of real estate leaders and entrepreneurs, be sure to subscribe to the podcast and leave us a review. Your feedback helps us bring you more valuable content and guests. Don't forget to visit our website, gpghome.com/leads and leverage for additional resources, show notes, and exclusive updates. You can also follow me on Instagram at real_Tyler Gibson to join the conversation and connect with like-minded individuals. See you next week.